In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts Alex and Sean. I don't want to mince words. I want to jump into a diatribe. If this is the effort that you went into this whole week preparing for Lamar Jackson, MVP of the league, this is the preparation you put in every day thinking we're going against Lamar Jackson. We're going against Lamar Jackson. You didn't find out until Saturday that you weren't playing Lamar Jackson. And this is the effort you put forward? Do you know what would have happened if Lamar Jackson would have played? This game would have been so out of hand ridiculous. This is how you played against Snoop Huntley. What the hell? Dennis Allen should get that game ball taken back and shoved straight up the wherever. This is unexcusable. Low IQ football, bad situational football. This is a team that I expected to see coached by Matt Eberflus, not by Ben Johnson. This is not acceptable.
No, to say that was disappointing would be a massive understatement. A massive, massive understatement. You yesterday around noon just got the greatest news you could possibly get before a game. The greatest news. It looked like Lamar Jackson was playing all week. All week. And you were prepared for that. And then you find out he's not playing. And the opportunity is right there in front of you. Now, we'll get into more details. The Bears' defense is decimated with injuries. We know that. The Ravens' offense got a few guys back, including our old friend Roquan Smith. We know that. But you know when the tone was set? On the first two drives, when you're running the script play and everything's looking great and you are moving downfield and you can't get into the frickin' end zone. And when you settle for 2 field goals, even against Tyler Huntley, you're thinking, oh, you can't do that. Because guess what? The last few weeks, you've spent the last few weeks settling for field goals when you should be scoring touchdowns. And eventually that is going to catch up to you. And you know what else is going to catch up to you? Not getting fortuitous bounces and getting interceptions. You can't rely on that every week. You just can't. And I'm ashamed to say that everything about this game was bad. Okay? The offense wasn't good enough. Caleb Williams, not good enough. Defense, it was banged up. I'll give it a little grace at times, but still overall, you let Tyler Huntley ball out. Not good enough. Special teams, really not good enough. You kept giving them good short fields. And I thought Ben Johnson coached scared today. Ben Johnson looked like the one who was trying to be a bit more conservative, like he was the one that had the backup quarterback in there. Now, I'm not saying this is overall indictment on Ben Johnson, but I don't think he had the greatest game today. I just don't think he did.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's really frustrating. And we talked about the Bears having starting to find an identity, the way that they've been running the ball. And not only did they get away from that, but that identity got lost. And the offensive line looked like they got manhandled today.
It was not good today.
That Ravens defense has been atrocious this season, and that defensive line has been bad all season. And they came in and they took you to the woodshed. The offensive line was far and away the worst part of this game. They were bad, straight up bad.
Yeah, it was not good. And I think that when you look at the entire offensive play, you saw, early on when things were working and you got deep, and then you just stopped. You stopped functioning in the red zone. What that said, what was so bad about that was today felt like a game you wanted to win in the trenches. You wanted to be able to possess the ball because despite the other team not having Lamar Jackson, they still have Derrick Henry. Well, guess what? If you would have gone up 14 to nothing early, you were forcing their backup quarterback to throw the ball more. Now, the secondary was getting picked apart for much of the game, but the fact that you kept them in the game allowed them to also use Derrick Henry and use other plays where they could move downfield. If you stomp on their throat early, you are forcing them to try to make Tyler Huntley beat you. And keeping them in the game, let them open their playbook a little bit more. It's not a Lamar Jackson playbook by any means, but it's still a bit more open when you don't put the stomp down. That made a huge difference right there. And it looked like the Bears just it looked like they got flustered, especially in the second and third quarters when they couldn't do ball and dick with the ball.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you touched on this a couple times, but I just really want to hammer this point home. When you are moving the ball and you're settling on field goals, especially in the red zone, that you're setting yourself up for disaster because after those first two drives, and you have dominated and you're up by like they could take the lead in one play. Like
Yep.
the on the kickoff return, they could even this up.
Yeah.
Like that's how the huge difference between a touchdown and a field goal. Had you just gone in there and got touchdowns, you're up 14 and nothing. You're right. The whole playbook changes for the Ravens. It's not a point where running the ball, but you start, you know, changing up how you're doing things because now you're behind the eight ball and you're a team that doesn't have your star quarterback. Um, you start changing things up a little bit. And then from there, then the Bears should be able to just start, you know, putting their foot on the gas. But instead, they settle for field goals, and then uh, the Ravens take the lead on a Derrick Henry touchdown, and I'm like, all right, now this is trouble. This is trouble. Right off the bat, and you saw it on the third drive. The Bears had the ball. You went, uh-oh, things are starting to fall off. The penalties creeping back up, and um, you know, I mean, Caleb didn't have a good game, but man, was he under fire this game. Like,
Yeah, he was.
uh, and Ben Johnson called a shitty game. Is those first two drives, what did they do? They rolled out Caleb Williams, whether roll to his right or naked boot, and they were hitting Roma Dunze on the run and moving the ball in chunks. After that, they stopped that. They stopped doing it. Those plays went off the table, and you you couldn't do anything. I don't understand. If something works, do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Caleb was hitting the guys in stride on the first drive. The rollouts were looking really, really good, and you had a few good runs on the ground. And then, I mean, to the credit for the Ravens, they did start to pick up the run, and those holes started to close a little bit. But there were a few times in this game where, as good as DeAndre Swift has been, there were a few times where you say, well, he cut this way, but if he would have cut that way, he would have had a lot more space. So, that was
Hey,
frustrating
I
too.
lost you on that.
Sorry, I was just saying that, there were holes early for the running backs to go through. They closed up a little bit as time went on. And then there were times where you're like, you had a lane there, but they didn't really take it. So that was kind of frustrating too. But I mean, the pocket passing today was just not very good. And it's not your day on the line when Joe Tooney has a penalty because that was his first one of the year. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that was his first, but I didn't see the penalty.
It was late in the game. It was a false start. It
No,
was
no, no.
right.
I saw when they threw it, but I didn't see when. I didn't
Oh,
see him do anything.
oh,
I
oh.
think I think the Ravens just all jumped up and pointed at him, and the ref just threw the flag. I even on the replay, I didn't see where he moved.
I honestly didn't really get a good look at it, so I don't know, but
Even the announcers went, maybe it happened before this because I didn't see him move. And I'm like, there you go, phantom calls. And I want to talk about at the end of the game the Hopkins. They didn't call an offensive pass interference or a face mask. And, you know, did that change the fact that the Bears got outplayed today? No, not at all. Could it have changed the outcome? Could we have stolen another game? Potentially. That was a huge, huge missed call, especially when refs have given the Bears multiple dog shit offensive penalty pass interference calls this season, and to not to call a blatant one when it's the Ravens marching down the field, that would have made it the third and really long. It was bullshit, and the refs did not change the outcome of this game. They didn't make the Bears not be able to pass block or run block or have Caleb hit guys in stride or have receivers make contested catches. Like that, none of that changed. It just things like that is the difference between wins and losses in this league. And
no,
it's
I agree. I agree. The call was really, really bad. It was awful. I mean, how many times have the Bears been flagged for 10 million times less than that? More than we can count. But you're right. I'm not here seething about it. As bad of a call as it was, you didn't deserve to win today. You straight up did not deserve to win today with the way you played. And I think that the Bears really have to take a look in the mirror at what happened offensively today. You have to acknowledge where the things went wrong. You have to look at continued struggle areas with Caleb. You have to ask yourself, why did you abandon the rollouts? Why did you abandon certain elements of the run? And I think, too, there was some fundamental stuff that you have to talk about. One big one to me was remember that big run by Caleb Williams at the end of the second quarter?
where he did go out of bounds.
Yes. You had to waste a timeout because of that. That could have made a big difference. Having
Yeah,
two timeouts versus one in that situation because you had to do the fire drill with the kicker, which,
yeah.
that's another conversation with Cairo Santos in the leg,
And
but
his noodle leg.
yes, but still, it
And
is a
and and,
difference
and
when you have
listen,
two timeouts.
and Caleb, if Caleb's about to get clobbered, all right, I get it. Um, but he had the room, I think, to run out of bounds, maybe a couple yards earlier, run out of bounds and preserve that timeout. And the same thing with DJ Moore at the end of the game when he makes that catch and just go out of bounds, save the time. Like that, and if there's a chance you're not scoring that touchdown, you got to stop the clock.
Right. Right. The other one too, and maybe it's because he had his eyes on the end zone. The last big play to DJ Moore towards the end, he was tackled in bounds, and you know, we saw what happened. They still couldn't fucking score a touchdown, but still, if you would have gotten out of bounds, you would have given yourself more time. But the ending of that game was so fitting. You couldn't get in the end zone, even in garbage time. And Caleb Williams missed a wide open DJ Moore in the end. I mean, how fitting was that? Even if it was just a garbage time touchdown, you could have at least given yourself a minute chance to recover an onside kick and maybe throw a miracle. But then you effed it up there on a number of plays.
Yeah, it's that last sequence. I mean, would have that touchdown at the end changed anything? No, but uh, you could build on something. But it was just bad operations, bad fundamentals, and Caleb absolutely missed a guy standing wide open on that fourth down.
Yeah.
I, it was atrocious. Like, just everybody needs to go and look in the mirror after this game because I can't think of anybody that doesn't deserve criticism after this game. Rome Odunze, you got to make 50. Like, sure, you're great at catching passes when you're open, but you need to catch 50-50 balls. You need them. Sorry, you got to make those tough catches. Uh, you know, DJ Moore, you've got to get separation. Um, the offensive line, you were atrocious. Caleb, you missed too many open throws,
And the
and
interception was
that
100% on him.
yeah that
100%.
that was a bad decision to even throw there.
And
And
he was staring him down. He was staring
oh,
down Room.
he stared Rome down like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah. And you know what? In many games past, I'm confident in Caleb Williams driving down the field. That was a Justin Fields game-winning drive slash game-tying drive late moment.
Kind of ironic when that happened today.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's it's frustrating. Defensively, you could not get home. You got some pressure on Tyler Huntley, but you couldn't get enough sacks. And the cornerbacks, man, that cornerback room is decimated with injury, and you needed the defensive line to get pressure to help them out. And instead, what happens? Nope. Nope.
No. And what really was disappointing too was remember the first play of the second half. It was either the first or the second play when Hundley just bombed that long pass for a completion. You didn't allow a touchdown. You held them to a field goal, but that's the kind of momentum swinging play that you get when you start with the ball because remember, the Bears didn't score at the end of the half and you knew the Ravens were getting the ball back. So you flipped momentum over there several times. Number one, not getting points at the end, and number two, allowing that big play to happen, allowing them to get points on their first drive.
Yeah, this team gives up momentum absolutely, like it's easy to get back. uh it's really frustrating.
The other team comes up to them, please, sir, may I have some momentum? Oh, here you go.
Here's all the momentum.
There's all your momentum. They take it's like a big flour sack and they just pour it all over them.
Oh man, I and it's tough is and I know it's awful to look ahead at the schedule, but you've got to get these wins where they're winnable. Without Lamar Jackson, this should have been a very winnable game. And now you lost this one. Cincinnati looks like a way better team, a different team with Joe Flacco as opposed to whoever that other chud was. Uh, and they're scoring points.
They are.
Um, so, that's not a gimme anymore. 2 weeks ago, that was a gimme game. Or 2.5 weeks ago. This now it is not a gimme game. It's a game you very well could lose. And you're starting to come into the part of the season where those games are going to be real hard to win. And
Yep.
uh, I know everybody then in Bears fandom went, remember when we were 4-2 and then we lost 10 straight last year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? One down, nine to go.
Well, and you know what the funny thing is? Last year they were 4-2. They go to Maryland, around our nation's capital, facing a team whose quarterback was in question. Now, last year Daniels played, Lamar didn't this year, but the circumstances were very, very similar. At least they didn't lose on a Hail Mary or some heartbreaking thing. You just flat out played like shit. But I mean, it's kind of eerie how similar it was coming into this game. And you lose one that you felt like got away based on the matchup. And listen, I'll kind of say what I said last week. If Lamar Jackson played and Caleb Williams looked really good, but you lost the shootout, like if you lost 39 to 32 and Williams threw for 330 yards, three touchdown passes, and Lamar Jackson was just better than you, okay, okay. Your defense is decimated. You're facing a multi-time MVP, and your young quarterback look good. Like that is an okay loss in this situation. But this was not the case at all. You were facing their backup, who they've barely won games with. They were 1-5 coming in, and Caleb did not look good along with the rest of your offense. And it was just a giant turd fest. And it was just so frustrating because that first drive before you settled for the field goal, things were looking up. You were moving downfield. You were converting some tough third downs. And it looked like maybe, just maybe, you were on pace for a good day. And I know there's going to be a lot of varying opinions here, and there's going to be a lot of people at people's throats. And it's a complicated subject. I get it. But I want to quote something I just saw on Twitter by @StarkKyleOrton. He has some very good takes, in my opinion. This is what he said. It's too early to say what Caleb Williams is, and there's still a completely rational, logical reason to believe by the end of the season he'll have straightened out a lot of shit. But he's got enough shit to straighten out. It's fine to be disappointed to this point. I think that's a pretty good way to put it. Because while I'm not ready to throw him into the trash bin, considering that other quarterbacks have taken different times to develop, I think it's okay to not only be disappointed, but to have legitimate concerns. And I'll say this too. There are plenty of other highly drafted quarterbacks within the past few years that you look at and say, they don't look quite like what they were hyped up to be. We could say that about even Trevor Lawrence, but look at CJ Stroud after his rookie year. It just meh. We can look at other guys out there too. I mean, you don't look at one quarterback right now in the NFL where you're like, holy shit, they are absolutely taking everything by storm. I think Josh Allen and what we've seen of Pat Mahomes is the closest thing to that. But at the same time, it's hard not to notice what Drake May is doing, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking good. And that's a first-year head coach, too, and he's a second-year guy. He was drafted after Caleb Williams. They're not making excuses for him. And again, it's not always linear who develops what. But there are a number of things with Caleb Williams that I'm starting to say, when is this going to get better? This is not year one. This is year two. I get it's a new coaching staff, but there are certain things where you're like, you are the first overall pick. You are the consensus first overall pick. Why is this not clicking yet? And I think we have the right to be frustrated and a little bit concerned.
I mean, nothing you say is wrong. When you draft a guy number one, you expect him to be ahead of the curve.
Yes.
That's the expectation, especially when he comes in as the generational one and multiple years where people are like, oh, people are going to tank for this guy. Like that's the guy we talked about. And, I know, we'll see flashes of greatness, but then just some absolute bonehead missed plays. And you keep telling yourself that it's going to be the reps. It's going to be the reps. And then once the things slow down, he's going to start hitting those. But when is that going to happen?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know when that light turns on. Drake May last year, we saw a lot of bad, but a lot of good. Jaden Daniels, we saw mostly good last year. This year, we're seeing cracks in the
injuries.
armor.
Yeah.
But Drake May has taken a huge step forward.
And yeah, that's a big stage that you are stepping on the field that Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls on.
And here you are with the Bears with just the same old mistakes. You're like up the footwork, up, stare down a receiver, up, missed a wide open guy. Uh, all the arm talent in the world, all the elusiveness. It's when he avoids sacks and rolls out, he's not making the big plays. And part of that is the whole offense is failing him. Is why is nobody making a play when he makes a big play to get out of there and roll? Why aren't they making those catches? Like they're catchable balls. You got to make those catches. You got to make those contested catches. Look at the teams that go to the Super Bowl. They're making those hard catches. That's what's separating them. Bears aren't doing that. Caleb, and you need to design those offenses for when those things happen. We shit all over the Bears offense last year because when Caleb would break free, that offense went stagnant. Guys stopped. Guys, you didn't have a plan in place for when Caleb escaped the pocket. And I'm starting to see that same thing is be ready. Be ready. I saw DJ Moore one play that when Caleb had that big run is he made a block and he was signaling for people because I don't know if anybody knew what was happening. They've got to be better about making sure that when the play is a broken play, that you put yourself in a position. Why doesn't somebody, you should have one guy go deep? Because if that play completely breaks, look at how many times Aaron Rodgers had a wide open touchdown to a guy because the play broke down and a guy kept going deep. But you've got to have guys come back for a shorter throw. Is picking up 8 is so much better than an incomplete pass. And
Yep.
Part of that's on Caleb is, you've got to make sure you hit the guy, but part of it's on the whole offense is gear it to who your quarterback is.
Right. And again, why did we go away from some of those rollouts?
Who knows?
Especially when there was
we asked that
pressure
last
coming.
year.
There was pressure coming. What? Why?
Mm-hmm. There's just so many whys in this game. Just why? I don't understand. And we've focused on the offense being bad. We've focused on the defensive being bad all season long. Where we haven't focused on is special teams. And the special teams have not, other than some big plays here and there, special teams has not been good. The kick return game and the punt return game are pretty bad.
They let kick returns come to like the 40-45 virtually every time. I said it earlier in the show. I said that they were getting short fields, the Ravens were. I mean, every time they were getting all these yards, man. And not only that, but the penalties too. They're either getting penalized when they receive or they give up a ton of yards when they're defending on special teams. It's been really, really bad.
Yeah. And their ability to cover has not been good enough. Their ability to actually return kicks and punts has not been good enough. They brought in a guy specifically to be a returner, and he has not been good enough.
No. Hasn't. It just hasn't.
You need to be able to stop them before the 25. No more than the 25-yard line, and that just hasn't been the case. Just hasn't been the case. That just literally not a soul on this team has a reason to be mad at another teammate because they all need to somebody should have gone before the end of this game and put mirrors in everybody's locker because everybody needs to go look in it and take a deep look into it and go, man, I fucked up today.
Cue Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Great song. I love the instrumental because I'm a big hunk for one of those like good 80s instrumental with the synth and the guitar and like the drum beat and the bass. I could just listen to like the backing instrumental element of that song and love it.
Yeah, but this team just no heart, no toughness. You got to be tougher. You got to be tougher.
And I mean they
Um,
played tough in weeks past. I don't want to like talk about how they were not taking it seriously, but I felt like today they just weren't they just weren't all there. And again, they literally weren't all there because there were a million injuries, but there were things that they'd done well the past few weeks that they weren't doing. And I will give some credit to the Ravens. They are 1-5. They didn't have Lamar Jackson, but this was a roster that people thought was going to be going to the Super Bowl this year with Lamar Jackson, obviously, and they did get a little bit healthier. It's just when you had the kill shot early on, you don't take it. You can't afford to do that, even against a team without Lamar Jackson. And I can say this over and over too. Had you won, but your defense still stunk, I think we'd be a bit more forgiving. Because that would mean your quarterback, the most important person on the team, was good, and you could easier acknowledge that you didn't have all your pieces today. And I think you could also acknowledge the fact that had you gotten off to a better start early on, your defense could have played better because you would have been forcing Tyler Huntley to make more plays by himself. But as soon as you give an opening to any NFL team, no matter who it is, they can beat you. That's why it's the NFL. But it was on you to take advantage early on, and you didn't. Made the big difference. And a team that is coached by a Super Bowl winning coach and a team that has players that are elite, they're going to make you pay, even if you don't have your elite quarterback in there. So remember that next week when you play against the Bengals. I'm not saying the Bengals are a barn burner, but you alluded to it earlier. They're scoring points with Joe Flacco. And guess what? They still have Myles Garrett and a defensive front that could give you a lot of trouble. Here's another question, too. We were singing Theo Benedette's praises a few weeks ago. Hasn't been as pretty the
yeah,
past few weeks.
no, I think the tape is out on how to beat him, and its speed.
Yeah. Do you want
Uh,
Ozzie Trapillo in there against that front? That's the other question.
no, I
You,
mean
you
you're playing the best five offensive linemen right now. Ozzy Trapillo might end up being one of the five best at some point, but right now, as you know, unless something significantly changed from the preseason, you have the five best offensive linemen in. And you know, I think you just have to recognize the shortcomings of Theo Benedette and give him a little help. And there was one play that was absolutely amazing. You saw uh DeAndre Swift go and go to do a block and whiff on the block and then catch a pass. And it was totally designed because as I watched it happen, I went, man, that looks like a fake block. And sure as shit, there he is on the screen pass. And it turned out to be a nice play. And you can sometimes turn that disadvantage into an advantage if you scheme it well. And if you need to send one of your running backs out there to help chip or a tight end out there to chip, that shouldn't preclude them from going into the pass coverage or pass, routes. It just, you've got to design it up like that and, turn it into, turn their strength into a weakness and your weakness into a strength. It just, you've got to scheme that up. You've got to be prepared for it.
Yep. Yep. So I'm hoping that they're much better prepared next week because I believe this is on the road again, right? It's in Cincinnati.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is. But I mean, in this game, it was basically the same time of possession. You had more total yards, 100 more passing yards. I, you know, things, the way this looked, this should have been a really tight game. It's the penalties and the turnovers. That's, that's really, that's really where things just went downhill.
Yeah, and I just wish that in a game like this, you could have been more aggressive at times early on. I really do. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there one of the drives early on where they were in the red zone, they ran all three times? I don't know if it was,
I believe so.
I just, and I don't mind running on first down, but I believe it was second down. They ran with Monungai. They ran towards the right side of the line, and he just got bottled up. Like the Ravens read that right away. They didn't pat. I'm like, why not roll Caleb out? Let him see if there's an open receiver, and if not, maybe there's a lane for him to run in. I felt like with a good drive, that was an okay spot to try to be a bit more aggressive. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I have a big question that I don't have an answer to.
Hmm.
I had an answer with the Saints game, but I don't have an answer today.
Hmm.
Why didn't Austin Booker play?
Yeah, that whole
He
thing's it's a little head scratching. Do they not think he's good enough? Do they not? I don't
he went
understand.
from he was a full participant in practice at the end of last week. And you're, oh, okay, he's going to play. And then they ruled him out. And okay, maybe they thought they didn't need him. Give him another week of rest. Okay. All right, get it. Makes sense. Or I can make that math work. And then this week he went to limited practice at the beginning and then full participant. You're like, okay, why was he limited participant? And then he went to full participant and then he was out again. What's happening? I don't
I
understand.
don't know. I don't know. I just don't know.
Like that's a big question. And we saw this week that the Ravens got penalized for manipulating the injury report.
Well,
And
and that whole thing was it was like, oh, you said he practiced in full and then you amended it the next day. Either you practice in full or you don't. Like they should be penalized. It shouldn't be allowed.
yeah, so I don't understand what's going on with Austin Booker, and I think the Bears are kind of going dangerously close to getting a penalty on that too. Um, what's happening there? What's going on? And uh, I think we're deserved um, some answers. And we got Grady Jarrett back, which was kind of a miracle because he had a knee procedure. He had a knee surgery.
Yeah, there was a point where I thought it wasn't going to be good for the rest of the season for him, but he did play.
Yeah, and he played okay. Um, but that defensive line is just banged up. Um, Montez Sweat is not playing like the guy we paid a lot of money to, and don't be surprised if I don't know how that's offhand how that contract is structured, but you know the Bears are probably going to look for a way out of that contract.
Yeah, and I think the last few weeks he's played better, but still, you're paying him a lot of money to do more.
You're paying him a lot of money, uh, and you can't pay a guy that kind of money. And it's one thing if you're a bad team and you're like, okay, well we have plenty of cap, but um, his cap number's over $25 million. That 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 can't be. Um, you can't pay a guy that kind of money. and not get any production.
What's going on with Kyler Gordon? Speaking of money.
I don't know.
And listen, I'm not mad at him, but what's going on?
I don't know. It is the soft tissue, man. It's just brutal.
And it's not even the same soft tissue as the last time. It's another one.
Yeah, we could have really used him today.
Yes, we could have. When you
You
don't
know,
have your nickel,
when you
that
don't have
makes a difference.
either of your starting outside corners and you don't have your nickel, like you're playing with just the bottom of the barrel, bottom of the roster guys, and they weren't good enough.
No. So tell me this, if the Bears do get penalized for the Austin Booker situation, what are the punishments? Do you lose a draft
The-
pick? Do you get fined?
it depends on how egregious it is. I think the Ravens just got a cash fine. It was like
Yeah.
75,000.
Yeah. Now, here's my real question is, I don't know if they will or won't do this as a punishment, but will they take away George's purple crayons?
That would be the best penalty ever.
Watch, like some like NFL official, like in a suit and glasses, looking like some like secret agent, is just like tug of warring on the box of purple crayons, and George, no, not my purple crayons.
They
That would
go
be
in there.
funny.
They go in there and they just replace all of the purple crayons with a yellow crayon because it's the opposite on the color spectrum. And he's just like, no, I hate yellow.
I never want to color with yellow.
And then it's like that scene out of Casino where Joe Pesci's brother's getting like murdered and they make him watch and they've got George on his knees and they're holding his chin up and his eyes open and he's like, ah.
They're using the purple crayon, and these guys got their own coloring books, and they're just going ham and just using up the entire purple crayon as he's being forced to watch.
He's got this whole box of nice sharp brand new purple crayons and they're just grinding them down and he's just like they're ripping the label off of the crayons.
No, no. You just see the bits
No,
of
you gotta preserve the integrity.
you
That
see
was in mint condition.
the purple crayon is just going down and down, getting shaved down and down. See, now that would be a punishment that even George would not accept.
Uh, um, yeah. So this was just an embarrassing loss. It really was. And I agree with you on the one point is had this been like week one, Buffalo versus the Ravens, where it was like what 42 to 41 or whatever.
Yeah,
And if you lose that, you know what? It sucks. I'm not happy, but I can live with it. Everything, every year in, year out. We talked about this with Justin. We talked about this with all the way back to Rex Grossman and like the any quarterback we've drafted. And it's just like, okay, we just want to see growth from the quarterback, and we just never get it.
right.
We get teased with it. Here you go. Here you pulled it away. Pulled it away. It's like that commercial with the old man in the fishing gear and the dollar on the fishing line.
Got your
Almost had it.
dollar.
Uh I did
Ooh.
it's fucking frustrating.
Yes,
Why
it
can't
is.
we have nice things?
You know what I just tweeted? The Patriots have had like two bad seasons, and now they're looking good again. Like, you had Tom Brady for 20 years, winning you six Super Bowls. You have like two down years. Then you come in, you hire Mike Vrabel, and then you get Drake May in his second year, and he's starting to blossom. It's like, oh, really? They were deprived so long for success.
I'm just so disappointed.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
It makes and it puts into question everything else, you know, because we kept looking and we're like, okay, they weren't dominating wins these 4 games in a row, but they were finding ways to win. They were team wins. You pulled it out. You did the things you needed to do to get the win. And today you didn't. You didn't. You had a lot of boneheaded penalties. You
And that's
got
all that
hosed.
matters.
You got hosed a little bit by the refs. You weren't making those tackles. And we kept talking about during these 4 game wins or 4 game win streak, you were stopping those runs at like 1, 2 yards, not 3, 4, 5 yards. And doesn't sound like a ton of difference, but the difference between 2nd and 8 and 2nd and 5 is really big
Yeah.
because 2nd and 8, you're probably going to go into a passing down. 2nd and 5, especially if you're picking up 3, 4 yards, 5 yards a carry, you might just try that again. And and then if you get another 4 yard carry, it's the difference between 3rd and 1 versus 3rd and 7, 6 is again a big difference. Your 3rd and 6, you're probably not running that ball. It's going to be a passing down, and your pass rushers can pin their ears back and go after it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the. I get it's different with Derrick Henry, but you've got to find a way. You've got to get wrap up. You've got to hit guys. You can't let guys fall forward for that momentum.
Well, and that was a big difference we saw the past few weeks where they weren't allowing that.
Hmm. And then, on top of that, we've just got more injuries. Shamar Turner, who's really done nothing all season. That's been a disappointing pick.
No.
He gets injured. Luther Burden looks like he's out with a concussion.
And that's a big weapon for you.
Um, you uh let's see, Dominique Robinson goes out with an ankle, and Javon Dexter was out at some point, came back, but he's dinged up. And then you have to put Jonathan Ford in, who lined up like a whole yard off sides. I don't know how the hell he did that. Like, he was so far off sides that I was like, is this a camera trick or is he dumb as shit? Like, how did he line up? Like, how did he line up that far off sides? Why did nobody go, hey, bro, uh, you're on the Bears. You got to come on this side of the ball. It's just frustrating.
Well, it's like we said before, there is a lot of looking they have to do with the mirror after this one. On both sides of the ball, you have to look at the quarterback, you have to look at the line, you have to look at the play calling, you have to look at the execution, the penalties, where people were, what plays they were and were not making. You have to look at everything from this week.
Yep. And you're going again on the road next week to Cincinnati. And that team before Joe Flacco got hurt was an offense that you looked at as a offense that could carry you to a Super Bowl. And when he got hurt, that backup quarterback was atrocious. But now you got Joe Flacco in. And Joe Flacco is got this resurgence and playing really well. And when you put a competent quarterback in, uh, that offense is going to put up points. You will not win the game next week if you put in an effort like you did today.
God,
You
no.
will lose that game, and you'll lose it worse than you lost today.
Yeah, and you know what? There is a fact of matter that you could look at a number of games, even some of the wins from the Bears, and you say you can't play like that for much of the game again and expect to win again. You could say that about the Raiders game, I think. You got away with that one, that Raiders game. You absolutely robbed and stole that game. And you robbed it because Geno Smith is not very good anymore. And you were able to get a special teams block, but they played far and away from a good game. And then, last week you did a lot of things well. Your quarterback was not good, but you ran the ball well. You played good enough defense and you were able to win, but you knew that your effort against other teams was going to have to be significantly better than other points of the season against lesser opponents. And you can't look at the Bengals right now as a gimme, like you said. I'm not saying it's impossible to win, but 2, 3 weeks ago, that would have looked like probably your easiest matchup on the season, at least on the road. It still probably would have been the Saints overall, but your easiest road opponent would have probably been them a few weeks ago. Now, not so much. Not so much.
Yeah, it's shit has to change. Just has to change.
I just don't understand why, whether they win or lose, some of these mistakes, by not only just Caleb, but by the team in general, like, why isn't that cleaned up? I mean, at least the snaps were better this week, unlike the last few weeks. But I mean, some of the false starts and some of just the fundamental things. Like, why isn't that improved? It just makes me scratch my head sometimes. I just don't understand.
Yeah, for a head coach that's so intense, and some of those coaches that are so intense, why are they not cleaning up these mistakes?
And I understand that maybe week 1, week 2 with the new staff, there's a little bit of that adjustment period, but you got to think that by now it's a matter of wishing you saw a bit more than you progressed, knowing that everything was not going to be perfect with some of these areas, even by this point. It's just some of the fundamental stuff that's basic 101. You ask, why are some of these false starts still happening? Why are you seeing some of these plays not being made? I just feel like every week we're asking that too many times, win or lose.
It's frustrating. I want to take a little bit of a tangent here.
Hmm.
I know I've said it a few times, but the NFL in America is by far and away the most juggernaut of the sports leagues. That is that
Correct.
that's a pretty fair statement, correct?
It's not even a question
I
at
I
this
I
point.
don't even know if the other three major sports combined could could be the NFL.
What does it tell you when you have off the chart ratings on a Thursday night when like even the Cardinals and the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing each other? Why, we've expanded the NFL into having more games on more holidays. And yes, those sports had those holiday games for the longest time, but now the ratings are shifting. They were higher for the NFL on Christmas when Christmas has been known to be the NBA's day for decades. And just look at the Super Bowl. Do people, and I get it's one game versus a series, but do people, if it's game 7 of the World Series, do people gather around for parties like they do the Super Bowl? No. Do they do it for if there's a game 7 for basketball or hockey? No. The Super Bowl is literally a day where people who don't even know yakety jack about football will get together at parties, eat a bunch of good food, and watch the commercials and the halftime show. It's that big, the NFL. So yes, you are 100% correct.
What did I say was going to be the potential downfall of this sport? What is the chink in the armor?
Well, I think there were a number of
There,
things.
I've said it's the officiating and the
Yes.
questionable officiating that makes you go, I that is so atrocious. And the fact that the league's not stopping it, and you know, like some of those questionable things go, why why is that so egregious determining games? And and I thought it would be a little far-fetched because I didn't see a downfall. But something happened this week in a different sport
I
that
know exactly where you're going with this.
that makes me go, all right, we know, or we now have credible evidence that gambling is having an impact on the play on the field. So maybe we're not that far out of line by saying officials are determining games and that needs to be reined in. Even if it's not, even if the officials are not on the take or have financial gain for certain outcomes, the perception that that could be true is enough to cause serious harm. And this week, a player and a former player slash coach were arrested by the FBI.
I'm glad we're talking about this because I wanted to talk about this because this is such a huge story. You know what I said earlier on, I think it was Twitter. Yeah, it was Twitter. I don't know if you saw that tweet or not, but I mentioned that we as sports fans have just been given another reason why we can question things. Like that we have the right to ask questions when things don't seem kosher. You want to know what I think is the craziest thing about this whole thing? Did you see online where people were posting videos of some of the plays in question?
Oh, yeah.
And did you notice that those videos were not being posted that day? These were people saying, huh, this doesn't look right several years ago before
Mm-hmm.
this came out, and it turned out that they were right.
Yeah. I mean, like I know the leagues and writers and whatever, they want to call fans dumb. And there's a lot of dumb fans. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, meatballs galore.
There are a lot of really smart fans. A lot of them. And
Yes, yes.
and sometimes dumb fans will have a good point as well. Just because they're dumb doesn't mean that they're always wrong. Uh, just because they went to stupid Rutgers doesn't mean that they can't be right sometimes. Uh,
What is with Rutgers with you, man? What did
oh
Rutgers
no,
ever do to you? Rutgers
don't
is a
know.
good school.
The Scarlet Knights. Uh, I it's if there's a point that you can't poo-poo it anymore. When when fans come out and say, uh, yeah, that complete absolute atrocious missed pass interference on this play that was the difference between, them being in field goal range to win the game and not. And all the officials just swallowed their whistles and looked the other way, even though it was blatant. Um, what was that? The Saints Rams? Was that a, um, you know,
Oh, are you talking about the NFC Championship game in
yeah,
2018?
yeah. So you look at stuff like that and you start going, huh, huh. Uh, Things like that were just real blatant. You're like, that, that call was significant. And you start asking these questions, and now at this point you can't poo-poo them. You can't say it's a conspiracy theory, because now we have we have multiple players and or people as part of a professional sports league that were arrested by the FBI.
And this is
And
Chauncey Billups. This is a Hall of Famer. This isn't some
yeah,
average Joe. This isn't some bench warmer. This is Chauncey Billups. We're talking about a Hall of Fame player and a head coach in a big basketball town with the Trailblazers.
yep.
And I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, did you read the details about these poker games?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. I mean, you know, it, so I have an article up here, but they were talking about like how these were happening. And this was like part of the mob, right? Like the
Oh
mob
yeah.
was involved in this. So here's a quote. This is from the Department of Justice. As alleged, members and associates of organized crime families fixed illegal poker games as part of a highly sophisticated and lucrative fraud scheme to cheat victims out of millions of dollars and conspired with others to penetrate their frauds, a United States attorney said. Uh, Attorney Nisela, whatever that is. Well-known former NBA players and former professional athletes acted as face cards to lure unsuspecting victims to high-stakes poker games where they were then at the mercy of concealed technology, including rigged shuffling machines and specially designed contact lenses and sunglasses to read the backs of the playing cards, which ensured the victims would lose big. Today's indictment and arrest sounds the final buzzer for these cheaters. That was the quote from Joseph Nocella Jr., U.S. Attorney for Eastern District, New York. So this was a very elaborate scheme. This was luring people in having these games more or less fixed because you were using technology in other ways to rig these games. And this isn't just chump change. You're not going to your friend's house and playing for a few dollars and quarters. This is millions of dollars. Isn't that
It
nuts?
it's unreal. Like this is just absolute craziness.
And like I said, I think you're gonna hear a lot more. There's gonna be a lot more that comes out about all of this stuff.
I mean, will there be evidence? I don't know. It's hard to prove things. It's hard to prove intent on things. But once once the dominoes start to fall, there's gonna be people that start testifying to save their own butts. And that is when the floodgates open.
Now, does everybody have an interpreter they can pin things on? I still question that. Don't you?
What's that?
The Otani thing?
Oh,
You know, the interpret that whole thing?
yeah.
And that just I don't want to just blatantly accuse, but I still have questions about that one. It doesn't seem logical. Oh, I didn't know those millions of dollars were missing. And listen, those millions of dollars might be chump change to him, and maybe he wasn't fully aware about everything. I don't know. Something doesn't add up, and I'll never be able to prove it, and I'll never be able to give a full accusation because I don't have the facts and I don't know for sure. But I definitely scratch my head over that one.
Um, so have you read uh who the alleged whistleblower might be on these NBA arrests is?
I thought I saw something, but I can't quote what it was. Well, who did you hear?
Gilbert Arenas.
That's what I thought I saw.
Um, so I'm curious if that's the case. You know, um, yeah, amid speculation, Gilbert Arenas' involvement with Portland Trailblazers Chauncey Billups arrest, he isn't exactly denying it. The NBA was rattled by a gambling scandal Thursday morning with Billups, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, and former Cleveland Cavaliers player Damon Jones being arrested in separate sports betting probes. Hours after coaching the Trailblazers to a season-opening loss, Billups was arrested in Oregon and charged in an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia. Ironically, the charges against Billups come less than 3 months after Arenas was arrested on a federal indictment and accused of running an illegal gambling business with 5 others, including a suspected Israeli crime figure. Arenas was alleged to have rented out his Encino, California mansion to high-end illegal poker games. Facing up to 5 years in prison, Arenas posted a video after being released on bail in July, implying that he would be willing to cut a deal by using the hashtag snitching Gil coming soon.
Mm.
Uh,
I don't
three
remember
months
that video,
later,
but I remember the arrest.
3 months later, Billups was arrested on charges that sound ironically similar to those Arenas is facing, and people are beginning to speculate about Arenas' potential involvement. He has only fueled those thoughts and theories by showing up to his Gil's Arena show with a bag labeled Informant Lunch.
Oh my God. He's basically telling you,
This is
come on.
this is my lunch, man. I didn't get to eat it over there. I was talking too much, Arena said at the start of the show. The Blazers wasn't going to win anyway. The last thing they needed was their coach. Further, in an old video surfaced of Arenas claiming that he, Larry Hughes, and Damon Jones were at LeBron's place gambling during a 2006 NBA playoff series between the Washington Wizards and Cleveland Cavaliers. In the video, Arenas noted James wasn't gambling, but Jones has now been arrested for allegedly trading inside information on a LeBron James injury in 2023. Maybe Arenas isn't just leaning into everything for show and attention, and this is just one giant coincidence. But we all know Arenas was arrested for ties for an illegal gambling business. We know he implied he was willing to cut a deal to stay out of prison. We know Billups was arrested for alleged involvement with an illegal poker operation 3 months later, and we know Arenas is now leaning into being an informant. Beyond that, we'll avoid any speculation and wait for more details.
Yeah, I mean, that's an awfully big coincidence, right?
I mean, it's wild,
Like I
absolutely
said,
wild.
and didn't they say too that LeBron James was questioned by he wasn't arrested, but wasn't he questioned by them in this whole thing?
I heard that. I haven't seen it like anywhere official, but I've heard it, and I think I heard it on like one of the overnight sports radio shows, which are questionable. Um,
So let me ask you this. Does a scandal like this further hurt the NBA, or does it give it that kind of weird, morbid boost, if you know what I mean, where like it's such a wild story that people are actually intrigued by it, where they want to actually participate in watching or observing NBA activities?
if you would have said this 5, 10 years ago, I think that would have been the true story because it was NBA was so hot. NBA has cooled,
Very much so. Very much so.
and I think it is going to hurt the league.
Well, and I think it's what I think could be happening too is it's giving a lot of people who've come kind of indifferent about it a reason to be like, okay, I really don't need to pay attention now. Because I think the product has deteriorated and fans are feeling kind of the same way. I can't speak for everybody, but people often are saying similar things like, I don't like the fact that this workload management is preventing star players from playing every night. I don't like the fact that there's no defense anymore. I don't like that games are 41-39. And did you hear the segments from MJ on NBC?
No.
Because he was talking about how he wished he could take a pill and go back and be part of the game again. And you want to talk about gambling suspicions, that's a whole other thing. I won't go down that road, but I think there's a lot of people who are kind of meh about the NBA these days. They just don't like the product the way they used to, and it kind of gives you a reason to be like, why should I care about it? What am I missing out on? If these things are happening, why should I? And does that mean the NBA is going to suddenly just take a huge nosedive where it's not relevant? No, of course not. It's going to be relevant. You're going to get good ratings on national TV. The star players are going to make their money with endorsements, and there'll be ratings on television. People go to the games, but it doesn't feel like the powerhouse that it once was.
Yeah. And I'm going to add this is not nearly as like scandalous because it was internal and not an FBI arrest. Uh the Guardians Emmanuel Clase.
He's probably not going to play again because of that.
He is from what I hear that the evidence is like it is a mountain of evidence and Emmanuel Clase is probably never going to be allowed to play baseball again. Um and that's that just adds fuel to this fire. And
Yeah,
I
it
know the
does.
NFL has these rules like and we saw what a couple of years ago the couple of Lions players um
Was
got
that Jameson
suspended.
Williams?
Yeah. Um, Jameson Williams and
But weren't they were just betting on other games and
yeah,
it was
they were
just a
betting. Yeah, they weren't
yeah,
even betting on football. They were betting on other sports, but the NFL has like strict player rules,
right.
and we all laughed at that. Ah ha ha, so dumb. But those are archaic rules. Why can't they be on draft? Why can't they be on the app of an NFL sponsor on team, property? And here we are because it's a slippery slope.
Very slippery. It's so slippery. It's like you see those cartoons where like the legs are so fast before you fall down.
Yeah, and so it makes you question everything. Makes you when why wouldn't it? And with the
And that doesn't
NBA,
mean everything is corrupt or bad. In fact, the ratio is still probably microscopic, but it gives you the right to ask questions.
and you asked about how I think it'll impact the NBA. The NBA ratings are lower.
They are.
People aren't watching it at the same clip. What's what's been buoying the NBA is corporate money. Is the Bulls aren't selling out every game because fans are lining up. The Bulls are selling out because they have uh so many companies that have season tickets to these sporting events. And it's especially true so with the Bulls because it's not hockey where it's a little bit more niche and a little more violent. The NBA is everybody's played basketball at some point in their life.
Hmm.
And you in the winter in Chicago, all right, we have a client in town. We're not going to a rooftop or, out on an architecture boat tour. Like it's cold. We can take them to this indoor event where everybody knows basketball. And so it makes sense why they have these season tickets. If they start like, you know what, that's this is not something we want to be a part of anymore, especially now the economy's turning. Like we need to cut some corners here and there. Like that seems like an easy cut. And that is where it's going to really impact the NBA is when these corporations start canceling season tickets.
That won't happen.
I will it happen to the point where the league crumbles? No. But will it happen? Will it start to happen, especially if this scandal gets bigger and bigger? I think that the chain of events will start unfolding.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Uh, so have you been watching the World Series?
A little bit. I was gone most Friday night. I did come in time just to see the big unraveling of the Dodgers bullpen and the frickin' Blue Jays going crazy. And then I saw a little bit of last night's game. I saw the Dodgers take the lead, but that was about it. 1-1 tie. I mean, on paper, it's a great matchup. It really, really is. And man, you got to give it to Yamamoto, man. Another complete game. That's two complete games in one postseason. That's unheard of now.
Yeah. I it's I've only caught bits and pieces of games, but man, this is a good matchup and I really wish Toronto could have pulled out game 2 because it's going to be tough sledding winning this series, losing home field advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, you needed to have I don't think the Dodgers even going being down 0-2 puts that much pressure on them. Um, I think
Splitting
they're
was a realistic, good scenario for them.
yeah, yeah, for them, even being down 0-2, I don't think they're phased. They've been here, they're veterans. But going back to LA tied 1-1, they've got to feel pretty good about that.
Especially since you won game two. You think, okay, we got that game two. We're feeling good now. Let's keep going here.
Yeah, especially when you've got I think it's Tyler Glass now is pitching um game 3.
I believe so, yeah.
And have you seen his stats in the postseason?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
It's a sub 1 ERA. It's going to be a good matchup because you've got Max Scherzer out there, and I don't know which Max Scherzer you're going to get, but if it's anywhere near the Max Scherzer we've seen over the years, this could be a really damn good game.
I mean, just to say you're seeing Max Scherzer still pitch in 2025, a sure first ballot Hall of Famer, should be unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. Pretty good for the regular baseball fan to witness.
Yeah, and the fact that he's still pitching in 2025 in a
Yeah.
meaningful game.
Yeah, in a World Series game
Yeah.
against his former team. He was a Dodger for a little bit.
Um, yeah, so I'm still rooting for the Blue Jays in this.
Me too, but yeah, I think it'll be LA to win. And there's something I want to bring up real quick. The Cubs had a good season, right?
Yeah.
Good team, good season. And while you can look at a number of avenues why one thing didn't go as good as the other, I think there is a humble reminder that for as good as you are, and you played pretty well against them in the regular season, you like pretty much every other team in this league is just you're not in the same stratosphere as the Dodgers. And yes, like I said, you lost the first three to them and then kind of dominated them the rest of the way in the regular season. But guess what? The Brewers, they swept the Dodgers in the regular season. But as soon as they got fully healthy and it was postseason time, who dominated? It was the
The,
Dodgers.
the Dodgers kicked their ass.
Yeah, mercilessly kicked their ass. And again, we could rant on and on about Ricketts and money and Hoyer and whatnot, but just man, dreaming of winning a World Series with that team in existence is just harder. It's harder. And yeah, you came within 5 wins of going to the World Series. And even if you won the NLDS and you squeaked out a game in the NLCS, in the end, you're seeing a team in LA. They're just, man, I mean, everywhere you look, you have the best player maybe ever. You have a rotation when healthy, can do what most pitchers don't do in the modern MLB, and that's go deep into games and dominate with stuff like that. Their only weakness is their bullpen, but if they don't have to use the bullpen much and they score runs, it doesn't matter as much. I mean, they came into the postseason with one of the weaker bullpens you see, and for 99.9% of other teams, it is crucial to have a bullpen that is insanely good. And for the Dodgers, it might not end up mattering that their bullpen's not that good because of how good they are everywhere else. That is how good that team is.
Yeah, it's true. And I know I've much less so than the 90s Yankees. Um like the 2000, when the Yankees were winning World Series with Derek Jeter, like that was huge cries of they bought a championship. They bought a championship. You hear it less with the Dodgers, and I think it's justified to not to necessarily throw that at the Dodgers because um they've also got consistently one of the best farm systems in baseball.
Yeah, and they use that ammo to buy other players with their prospects. And, to be fair, even the guys they are paying a lot of money, like you could say, yeah, they're able to exercise their money with, the Japanese players like Yamamoto and Otani and Roki Sasaki. But look, you know what the fact of the matter is? The Red Sox didn't want to pay Mookie Betts.
Yeah. The Braves didn't want to pay
Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman.
Yep.
Um, you have the Angels didn't want to pay Otani. So even when they're traded, they're using so your options are like most teams are like, okay, I'm going to try to groom homegrown players because they're less expensive and then be able to use that money elsewhere. The Dodgers are like, let's take this homegrown talent, trade for established guys that we know are great, and then just pay them shit tons of money. And then we've got the best roster in baseball. And
Correct.
and they still have a really good farm system. And they have the best facilities. And And
They're a well-run team, even with the unlimited pockets.
yes, they are a well-run team with unlimited pockets.
It's a combination that will win you a couple of championships.
Um, so it's a recipe that everybody wishes they had. And I'm looking at um MLB.com's this is late August. They're ranking every farm system. Do you know who they have as the number one farm system?
Is it the Dodgers?
It is the Dodgers.
That is insane.
The 2025 preseason ranking, they were fourth. The 2024 midseason rank, they were fifth. The 2024 preseason rank, they were eighth. 2023 midseason rank, they're sixth. They've got an
Consistently in the
amazing,
top 10.
yes, they have the best major league roster and one of, if not the best minor league rosters. That's usually it's the opposite. It's, all right, well, we moved all our guys up, so now we're better and ranked in the majors, but our farm system's bad, or our farm system's really good, but our major league team is bad. You don't normally see. I mean, you see way more both are bad, farm system and uh, MLB team, as opposed to both are good.
Right.
So it's uh, it's unreal, like just how well run that organization is.
It is. And it's funny because I have the two different emotional fan perspectives on it. The one half of me says, why can't we be them? We're the Chicago Cubs. And the other half of me says, man, maybe I don't feel as bad. I mean, I'll never choose losing the NLDS over winning the NLDS, but man, seeing the Dodgers do what they did to the Brewers made me feel less and less sad about losing that series. Am I always going to be sad they lost that series? Yes. Am I always going to wish they would have pulled it out? Am I always going to wonder what could have been if Cade Horton wasn't healthy for that series? But I just like, you think about missed opportunities for a championship. And there have been plenty of times where a Chicago team had a legit opportunity for a championship and they lost out on it. This is a point where I'm like, man, the Dodgers are just, they're in another stratosphere than you, like everybody else. And while on one hand it's frustrating, on the other hand, it's like, well, you're pretty much in the same bucket as everybody else but the Dodgers. It's like you just watch them and you're like, man, you want to be that, but few people are.
And it's true. Absolutely true. Um, so it's it's just frustrating to watch.
It is. But onward we go, I guess. We'll see how this series ends, and then we have a very big off season for both sides of town.
Yeah. I mean, it's I know every off season is big for every team, but um the Cubs have the opportunity to continue that push to be to take out the Dodgers and go to the World Series. They've got the core of a good team. If they make the right moves, you could see this team being, I mean, the first, if you would have just played the first half, the Cubs were the best team in the National League in the first half of the season, right?
Yeah.
And the Dodgers weren't even anywhere close. I know it was injuries, but they also weren't playing very well. Um, you've got to be able to continue that, and the Cubs have the opportunity you know, uh, to bring in players that can help them continue that push. They could also very well um, try to play it fiscally safe and take a step back. I don't think there's any way they're a bad team next year, but um, they could move from an A tier team to a B tier team very, very quickly.
Look,
Maybe even a B minus tier.
what I was saying to myself was you could give me a crystal ball right now, and if I had to look at two outcomes, and I could say, you know what? I would believe you just as much if you showed me that and said, hey, they won 94 games this year next year. And in the same scenario, I'd believe just as much if you said, hey, they won 82. Like either or is on the table, really. We'll see what happens, but like if you told me, hey, some of their young guys took another step. PCA took another step. Owen Casey or Moises Ballesteros took another step. Nico and Dansby did what they did, and you got better pitching. You signed a big pitcher this offseason. Steele was healthy again. Cade Horton had his first full year of success. Hey, that's all looking good. But if you would have said a similar scenario where you're like, hey, 82 wins. And sure, maybe a few young guys took some steps, but you didn't get enough production from X, Y, and Z, and you didn't make the moves you made or didn't make weren't impactful enough. I'd believe it too.
Yeah. And I mean, Tucker's a big part of the equation. He was a huge reason that you were so good.
Correct. In the first half, you were where you were because of the first half, and Tucker was a main part of that.
Um, and there's a big, 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 giant chance that you let him go.
Yeah,
And
I think it's more likely than not that he's gone.
I think that's being generous, more likely than not. I think there's the chances of him coming back are slim and none.
Yeah, I'd
And
agree.
and on top of how do we get more firepower, more swing and miss stuff from our rotation to now how do we replace that production in the lineup?
Right.
Is I know I know Shaw at third base was a good glove, and at the end the bat got better. You need more power from the third base.
Yeah, so that's another guy you ask, is he going to take that step forward next year? We don't know.
I mean, we like that's you can't get that kind of production from third base. You got to get more production. Um, you've got some guys in the outfield that you could potentially replace Tucker with, but they're not going to give you the same bat. Maybe someday, not next year. And the Cubs, at what point do they just be aggressive and not be so conservative? They're like, oh, we'll just take a slight step back and then hopefully move forward in a year or two. Like at some point that strategy is going to fail you.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what brings this off season. There's a lot of different rumors that are going to be swirling around.
I don't see the Cubs being big players at all. They're so deathly afraid of giving somebody a long-term contract and then being hamstrung when the they go on strike.
Here's the question though, with the strike looming, does the market get shifted because teams don't want to give long-term deals and more people are accepting of those shorter, higher AAV terms?
What team has seemed as gun shy about the looming strike more as much as the Cubs?
Well, I think
The
there's
Cubs,
several.
I mean, and I'm not saying like I think everybody's got an eye on it, but the Cubs seem to have way too much of an eye on it.
Oh, I think
They're
I think Boston does too. That's another big market, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And even you're hearing Hal Steinbrenner say some things. I don't know. We'll see how it dictates. I'm just floating that out there.
I'm just frustrated by it because everybody's just anticipating this being a bad work strike or work stoppage. And I think there's a way that everybody can walk away with this with a better situation for the game, better situation for the players and the owners. And I think they're going to be so hell-bent on digging their heels in that uh they're not going to see the compromise that's there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I think, you put a floor in and do away with a lot of the deferred money contracts. And I think the game gets more competitive. And even with a cap, if you put a real floor in there, I think the players win, owners win, fans win, game wins. And I think the player or the owners have dug their heels in and they're willing to just they want to crush the players union. I think they really do.
yeah.
And the White Sox, I mean, they could make some serious noise this offseason by making with a financial splash because they've got the opportunity to really bring in some players and they've got the money to do it.
I think you can compete next year. I really do. I think they can compete next year, but you're going to have to bring some guys in.
Yeah. I mean, we saw they were much more competitive without talent. They were lacking a lot of talent. You could add upgrades into multiple positions in this roster. You don't have I mean, you could say, all right, well, we don't have to pay Luis Robert and you could let him go, but you've got to replace a center fielder. Bring in a legit center fielder. And Luis Robert is a good fielder. He's got the potential to have a great bat. Um, but he is not added to winning baseball. And
No.
you could decline that option and use that money elsewhere. I don't think they will. I think um they're going to still try to get some value out of that, but uh there's plenty of space for the White Sox to make room and you would still be well under budget and I don't know if they will. I think they're going to play the game of see what bargains they can get.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder with the Ishbia infused cash, is that going to make a difference? I know Jerry is still the majority owner by rule, but don't you think that infusing some of that cash will help them buy more players? I don't know.
I mean, they could. I just don't know if they will. That's my thing is what they will do, what they could do, what they should do. Like
Right, right.
that Venn diagram is three just distinct circles.
They don't even overlap.
Yeah, they're in other states.
They're they're sloppily drawn purple circles.
Uh, yeah. So, um, yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. Um, and that's this December is going to be interesting to see, even if they don't make moves. Like there could be a situation, a realistic one, where they try to bring in players and they're not able to because of, you know, all like recent talk about what bad culture it is in Chicago.
You do hope that Will Venable has kind of turned that around a bit.
I think in reality, but if you're a guy that's trying to sign a big contract and you've heard those rumors pretty recently, they may not be true anymore, but do you want to risk it if you're a guy that can get big money in multiple places? That's, and historically, when it's situations like that, you have to overpay. And
Hmm.
I don't see a world where the White Sox are overpaying to get a guy. Um, so there could be a reality where they try to be aggressive and just lose out,
Right.
like Manny Machado.
Yeah, you can't make that mistake again. You legitimately had him, it felt like.
Yeah. I mean, we could have those situations where like, man, they try to bring in a Manny Machado and it just didn't work out. And and we have to. So they could they could come up empty-handed, but a really good effort. And you know, at the end of the day, does that help you? No, but you've got to give credit where credit is due because if that's the case,
I
then
still think they bungled that one though with
oh,
Machado.
I totally agree. They bungled that, but it's this offseason, it could be we could be looking at a moral victory. Like, all right, you know what? They didn't come up with any big price free agents, but man, they were in the finals, for a player and they were pursuing it and they're trying to spend money and it just didn't work out. And you have to take that as a moral victory that they're trying to turn this around. It doesn't help you on the field, won't help you for 162 games next year, but it it does let the world know that hey, we're trying to be aggressive and we're trying to change things around here.
Well, the winter meetings are what, a little over a month away?
Yeah, they like a month and a week or two.
Yeah, give or take.
We'll see how that goes.
Hmm.
Um, are the Bulls for real?
Well, I don't know if I want to say for real yet, but I think that maybe the chemistry of players they have will at least give you something competitive. I mean, Vooch has looked good so far. We'll see how long that lasts. Frankly, I'd like to see if you can trade him this year. I'd like to
It,
see him play well and have some value.
if you get a trade offer for him, you take it.
Yes,
You take it,
yes.
even if it's early. You take it because it's uh you can't you know like fall for that again. Is trade him when you get value. Um, Giddy has looked good. Uh, the bench has scored points. And last night you had what, one, two, three, four bench players in double digit points.
Buzelis had a good first game. I know the second game wasn't as good, but there's legit promise there.
Yeah, I think there is. Um, and uh, so you saw some good 3-point shooting. Io is 3 of 4. Not a huge volume, but you're scoring points. So I don't know if they're for real. Um, we'll see as the season goes on, but 2 games in, the Pistons weren't a bad team last year, and you beat them. You beat the Magic. The Hawks,
On the
very
road.
winnable game. Yeah, the Hawks, a very winnable game. Um, you know, and, I think this coming weekend, we'll know better because you got, the the home and away versus the Knicks, and then um uh then you get the Bucks the weekend after. Man, they uh they don't play a ton next week. They got a Tuesday, Friday, Saturday.
Hmm. How the
Um
schedule goes sometimes, I guess.
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, maybe they were right in some of their philosophy. I don't want to jinx it all too early. You know how I am.
Oh yeah, Sean Hartman. He's the kiss of death.
uh but on the Blackhawks side of things, are the Blackhawks good? I don't know. But
They're scrappy and they're kind of fun.
yeah, but they look like a real NHL team.
Yeah, I mean, look what Frank Nazar is doing, and you're seeing the more aggressive Bedard, and you're seeing guys like Wyatt Kaiser make plays on defense, and Alex Vlasic, and Ryan Donato. is off to another really solid start so far. He scored 2 goals, including the game winner in Tampa the other night. And of course, Spencer Knight. So far, he's been awesome in between the pipes. And now we have 2 home games. We have one tonight against the Kings, and then we play Ottawa. So keep the good vibes going if you can. You're going to run into some rough patches. You're going to lose a high number of games, but these games have been fun to watch so far for the most part. And even when you're getting outshot, outplayed, you're finding ways to hang in so far. And you're going to get blown out eventually, but so far you've looked pretty solid in being in every game so far. I mean, it was a really fun game, even though you didn't play necessarily super against Tampa when Donato scored that goal with 1 minute left. And you're thinking, man, you remember when the Blackhawks used to win games like that all the time. It's giving you kind of those vibes again.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. They look like a much different team, like a much different team. Uh,
They look
yeah,
like a confident team. Even if they don't always play great, they look confident.
yeah. And when you have these young players and they're starting to feel confident and they're starting to you play better, it's showing in the standings. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's not like they're super good. Like if the draft were to happen right now, they would be drafting 21. That's middle of the road. But from a team that's consistently drafted top five, like,
You're in the lottery every year because you've been not winning a lot of games.
yeah, you are not in the lottery right now if the season were to end. Well, you might be, but not with your pick.
Right.
Um, that Florida pick, I think might be a lottery at this point. If the season were
Probably
to
won't be
end.
by the end of the season, but
No, it will not. It will not. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you would have told me they would have 10 points 8 games into the season, I'd have been like, I'm here for it. I'm okay with that.
sure, absolutely. And you could argue we're robbed out of an extra point against Vancouver with that bogus interference call or the goaltender interference.
Yeah, oh, that was so bogus.
Yeah, I don't get that one. Even like the biggest Hawks haters were like, "Yeah, I don't know about that one."
Um, yeah, so Spencer Knight has been great. I guess he's had a hot start. Um, I like the way the young defensemen are playing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, uh, yeah, I mean, they've done 11 forwards, 7 defensemen as their lineup, and it's worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jeff Blashill loves the 7 defensemen.
He does. Has he gone 7 defensemen every game? I
Uh,
feel like it, but maybe I
I
could be wrong on
can't say
that.
every game, but that has been how it's been the last few
Yeah,
games. So
correct.
that seems it's working. I think that seems like what he wants to be doing. Um, so I don't know if injuries will change that up, but as of now, that's what he's been working with is the 7 defensemen, and it they've been responding,
Mm-hmm. They have.
and they're getting ready to play today, against the LA Kings. Um, so that'll be a good game for the Hawks.
Yeah, it'll
Um,
be Arvid Soderblom in net tonight, so I would assume that Spencer Knight will be playing against Ottawa.
yep. And Tyler Bertuzzi is out tonight.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know what the injury is.
I think he's had some lingering ailments on him, but yeah.
Yeah, his undisclosed injury. Uh, was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I think I've said my piece. Just such a disappointing downer from the Bears, and
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to Thank you all so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. How we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or Swerski_sports_podcast on Instagram, or ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like number New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on planes.
Bears 31 to -7.
The Bears. Oh, when the Bears go bearing down, I wanna